Salamat berjumpa lagi. Welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Dalton Tanonaka of Indonesia's Metro TV at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Sarah Rabiatul Kamit of the Brunei Times in Bandar Seri Begawan, and this is your monthly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. We begin this month with the 23rd ASEAN Summit held here in Brunei on October 9th and 10th.
Leaders of the 10 member states plus important dialogue partners gathered in the capital to tackle the thorny issues affecting the region. ASEAN Today's Zelda Savitri reports.
The conflict over jurisdiction of islands in the South China Sea commanded everyone's attention from the start. With several ASEAN members and China claiming sovereignty, resolving the conflict diplomatically was the goal.
In terms of our strategic partnership, I'm pleased to see that our officials have started formal discussions on the Code of Conduct at their recent meeting. This signifies our efforts in maintaining peace, stability, and prosperity in the region.
During the sideline East Asia Summit involving dialogue partners, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry called on China to move forward in the matter. China has preferred to deal with the issue on a bilateral basis.
一致同意南海争议应当由直接当事方通过协商和谈来解决。
We are actually calling on everyone to see what can be done to move faster. But as I said, there are many actors here, and it's not completely under our control.
China's stature was heightened by the absence of U.S. President Barack Obama. He was forced to remain in Washington because of political problems, but his representative reaffirmed America's support of ASEAN while aiming at critics back home.
What is happening in our capital, in Washington, is really nothing more than a moment of politics, and it will pass. But I'll say this, if only the small group of people who have held us back in these past days were as forward-thinking and collaborative as the people in this room, we would all do a lot better.
ASEAN leaders also agreed to a new system of monitoring severe haze resulting from illegal burning in Indonesia. And at the conclusion of the two-day summit, Brunei handed over the chairmanship to Myanmar. Zelda Savitri for ASEAN Today.
Just before Brunei's summit, China's president made his first official visit to Southeast Asia. On his first stop on October 3rd, Xi Jinping went to Indonesia for meetings with President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. He proposed creating an infrastructure investment bank to help fund projects in the region. Xi also announced a new trade agreement with Indonesia totaling $23.6 billion US. Xi was the first foreign leader to ever address Indonesia's parliament. He then went on to Malaysia, meeting with Prime Minister Najib Razak. Both agreed to increase two-way trade to $160 billion by 2017.
A summit of Asia-Pacific leaders in Bali preceded the ASEAN gathering. A lighter moment opened the APEC summit on October 7th when host Indonesia surprised Russian President Vladimir Putin with a 61st birthday serenade. When meetings wrapped up, all agreed to support free trade and in promoting sustainable economic growth.
At this challenging time, APEC economies should enhance cooperation and partnership. We should redouble effort to sustain our resilience and maintain our role as the pillar and the safety belt of the global growth.
Leaders posed for the traditional goodbye photo wearing the Balinese fabric endek.
Thousands lined up in Hanoi to mourn the passing of a legendary general. Vo Nguyen Giap died on October 4th in a military hospital in Hanoi. He led the country to victory over France and the U.S. People bowed their heads and held up hands as a sign of respect. The government held a 3-day mourning period for Giap's death, with a state funeral held on October 12th.
The new Miss World calls ASEAN home. Megan Young of the Philippines beat 126 other contestants for the honor on September 28th. She was born in the United States but raised in Olongapo, west of Manila. The 23-year-old woman is a television presenter and finished ahead of Miss France and Miss Ghana. The finals were held in Bali instead of outside Jakarta as originally planned because of protests from conservative Muslim groups. And Moset Win finished ahead of 20 other contestants for the title of Miss Myanmar on October 3rd. She will now represent her country in the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow in November. Her crowning marked Myanmar's return to the event after 52 years.
The global demand for cars is pushing production centers in Thailand to record sales. ASEAN Today's Zakia Arfan reports on how the country came back from disastrous floods.
It takes 3 days to assemble a new car, and production lines are rolling out as many units as they can. Car makers enjoyed record sales in the first 6 months of this year on the back of a record 2012 when 2.4 million vehicles were produced here. 2011 was a different story. Massive seasonal floods put entire factories underwater. Assembly lines stopped.
During the flood, we closed the factory for 6 months and we had to delay all of our plans. But when we started production again, we implemented those plans. We launched 12 models of car in 1 year, which is a lot.
Thailand's auto industry had the biggest growth worldwide last year. That was driven by the backlog of unfilled orders from the year before. The government also provided tax incentives for first-time car buyers. Market leaders and analysts are confident that demand will continue to rise.
We have a big confidence we can sustainably develop our business here in Thailand with lots of customers. Fortunately, we can keep around 35 to 40% market share here in Thailand.
There might be black clouds and there might be problems. But overall, the car industry is driven by people. People with 2 wheels who want to get to 4 wheels. And I don't see that desire to stop. And I see Southeast Asia as the strongest growth territory area region in the world.
Global car sales rose more than 5% last year despite a drop in Europe. That was due to strong demand in the US and Asia. With projections of ongoing strength, Thailand's factories will be busier than ever. Zakia Arfan for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We will talk with the leader of the country where the economy has turned around. Philippine President Benigno Aquino assesses ASEAN's planned economic community. He's in the hot seat.
You are watching ASEAN Today. I'm Sarah Rabiato Kamit in Bandar Sri Begawan.
And I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. One of the leaders attending the summit in Brunei says ASEAN economic integration won't be smooth. ASEAN Today's Andini Effendi talked with Philippine President Benigno Aquino shortly before his arrival at the summit.
I'd be remiss if I say everything was perfect at this point in time. But I think it is a consensus that it amounts to everybody's benefit to have that centrality in the community.
Do you hope that ASEAN can help the Philippines or other ASEAN countries in regards to the South China Sea dispute?
It redounds again, settling the issues, making it a rules-based system of interaction, the certainty of exactly what entitlements are and what responsibilities are, redounds to everybody's benefit. So long as it's a gray area, then again, you induce an amount of risk that it does not help engender a lot of economic activity.
I would like to quote what our Foreign Minister Martin Natagawa said. He expressed that Indonesia is always ready at the request of stakeholders, meaning the Philippine government and also the Moro National Liberation Front, to contribute to the restoration of normalcy in the southern Philippines. Do you think that Indonesia can be an effective facilitator?
Has been an effective facilitator.
But we have failed in the past, yeah?
No, but they brought us to this level where there was a peace agreement signed in 1996. They were very instrumental in that, stretching as far back as I know from my mother's time. The current issue we had in Zamboanga City represents but a mere faction of the MNLF. There were more factions that actually objected to, and that I did criticize Ms. Wari's actions. Even Ms. Wari is not taking public responsibility for it. There seems to be a lot of deniability that he puts into all of his statements. There are reports, for instance, that a lot of the people were hoodwinked into joining him in this adventure. And this will all be forthcoming, the cases that we have been filing against him. So again, is Indonesia very helpful? Yes. I think both sides recognize that they are honest brokers, that they are, their interest is the interest for the entire region rather than favoring one faction over the other. And their willingness to keep on extending the dialogue and going to whatever lengths are needed to be able to effect a peaceful outcome. Now, is it an easy problem? It's been there for quite a long time. And again, through your program, I'd like to thank the Indonesian government, the Indonesian people for their patience in helping us address this issue with us.
As you know, Indonesia has shared similar issues with terrorism, separatist movement. From the Philippines' point of view, what lesson can you take from our past?
Well, amongst them, you have I'm trying to remember the unit, Densus 88 has a very different approach. They're not just the main operators against the terrorists, but they're also the ones who try to win them from, what is the phrase, de-radicalizing these elements. Perhaps that's a more efficient route. There's sharing of intelligence, because they pose common threats to us. There's supposed to be an Indonesian terrorist operating in the Philippines. They can perhaps also see us where we have succeeded. We're trying. We launched a program called the Sejahtera program, wherein we are trying to provide a lot of opportunities for employment, which means provision for technical skills training, motorcycle repair, air condition repair, computer repair.
Aquino also said that his anti-corruption campaign had a definite positive impact on the Philippine economy. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
We stop in at Cambodia's first commercial radio station, then the Battle of the Bugs in Thailand.
This is ASEAN Today.
And we have your monthly look at the people and places in Southeast Asia. The first 24-hour commercial radio station in Cambodia filled a void for pop music lovers there. ASEAN Today Valdia Baraputri profiles in the man who launched FM 89 and the country's first generation of DJs.
Radio has long been the easily accessible source of popular music, but the industry is new to Cambodia. It was only a year ago when Frederick Bernard launched NRG 89 FM, the first radio station in the country to play pop music 24 hours a day. The station began broadcasting a mix of international and Cambodian pop music after a 3-month testing and training period.
Je suis arrivé au Cambodge il y a à peu près 6 ans et ça faisait déjà presque 30 ans que j'étais dans le monde de la radio. Et en écoutant la radio comme je le fais partout, je me suis vite rendu compte qu'il manquait une vraie radio musicale ici. Personne ne diffusait de la musique en quantité. Toutes les radios parlent de tout et de rien. Et c'était l'occasion pour nous de lancer un tout nouveau produit qui n'a rien de révolutionnaire dans le reste du monde, mais qui ici était un trou dans le marché. Et on s'est dit que c'était une bonne idée de l'occuper, d'autant qu'on y prend beaucoup de plaisir.
This radio operation has the latest equipment with engineers based in Singapore and France available to fix technical issues remotely. The DJs hired to provide the voices have no previous experience. They were specifically hired for their personalities.
ហើយអញ្ចឹងគាត់នាងខ្ញុំក៏មកដល់មកតែខ្ញុំអត់ចេះអីសោះសូម្បីម៉ាស៊ីនក៏ប្រើអត់កើតអីក៏ប្រើអត់កើតដៃទាំងញីញ័រអីវាយហ្មងក៏ខុសប្រើខុសប៉ុន្តែដោយសារមកអញ្ចឹងទៅកន្លែងការងារគាត់បានផ្ដល់គាត់បានផ្ដល់ឱកាសដល់នាងខ្ញុំហើយអញ្ចឹងផ្ដល់ឱកាសនាងខ្ញុំអត់ចេះគាត់ផ្ដល់ឱកាសទៅក៏នាងខ្ញុំបានវឹកហាត់រយៈពេល មិនជឿមកទេគឺមួយអាទិត្យដែរទេចាគឺបានចេះចាអស់ហើយតែបាត់
ខ្ញុំបានចំណាយពេលវេលាជាច្រើនគឺដើម្បីវឹកហាត់នៅទីនេះហើយមានការបង្វឹកបង្ហាត់ពីសិស្សច្បងគាត់បានបង្រៀនប្រើឧបករណ៍ទាំងដែលខ្ញុំអត់ចេះប្រើអីសោះតែម្ដងហើយសំបីឲ្យពាក្យសម្ដីនិយាយក៏ខ្ញុំអត់ដែរចេះនិយាយអីទាំងអស់តែម្ដងខ្ញុំមិនដឹងថាគួរនិយាយថាម៉េចហើយចាប់ផ្ដើមពីណាហើយការប្រើឧបករណ៍គឺខ្ញុំអត់ស្ទាត់ដែរប៉ុន្តែដោយសារការព្យាយាមហើយក៏ដោយសារការបង្ហាត់យ៉ាងចិត្តទុកដាក់ហើយនឹងខ្ញុំបានចំណាយពេលវេលាយ៉ាងច្រើនគឺនៅទីនេះផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងធ្វើឲ្យខ្ញុំមានការស្រឡាញ់ហើយកាន់តែចូលចិត្តការងារនៅទីនេះហើយបានធ្វើឲ្យខ្ញុំខ្លាចជា DJ ម្នាក់យ៉ាង professional គឺនៅទីនេះផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងបាទខ្ញុំមានភាពសប្បាយចិត្តរីករាយយ៉ាងខ្លាំង
The station currently reaches listeners in the capital Phnom Penh and surrounding provinces. Manager Bernard says plans are to cover the entire country by the end of next year. Valia Baraputri for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events coming up on the ASEAN calendar. The U.S. rock band Matchbox 20 will be in concert in Singapore on November 10th. Cambodia celebrates its 60th Independence Day on November 9th. And Buddhist monks will gather at the Golden Stupa in Vientiane for the Tat Luang Festival on November 12th. Swimming with jellyfish isn't as scary as it sounds. A unique spot in Indonesia's East Kalimantan allows visitors to do just that without fear of getting stung. ASEAN Today's Edwin Tintin takes us there.
Cakaban Island is known for its abundant marine biodiversity. Its main body of water is inhabited by a sizable population of non-stinging jellyfish, a species that exists only here and in the Philippines. For a 10,000 rupee admission fee, or less than $1, visitors get to snorkel close to the jellyfish and even get to touch them. An unforgettable experience.
Aman, kalau nggak aman kita nggak mungkin kesini dong. Nyebur langsung terus ada ubur-ubur, ada dua yang putih sama yang coklat. Bagus deh pokoknya, seru.
Cakaban is part of the Darawan Island chain in Berau. From Jakarta, visitors must fly to Tarakan and then take a speedboat for 3 hours. The cost is 3 million rupiah, or $270 for 6 passengers. From Darawan, it takes another 45 minutes to reach the uninhabited Cakaban. The government is trying to attract more visitors by staging festivals such as this one held last month.
Darawan ini merupakan suatu potensi wisata bahari yang sangat luar biasa. Salah satu dari yang kita miliki, mulai dari Darawan, Maratua, Cakaban, dan sebagainya. Di dalamnya banyak sekali kekhususan yang dimiliki oleh daerah ini, destinasi ini.
Accommodations can be found in Darawan, the jumping off point to enjoy the area's floating wonders. Edwin Tintin for ASEAN Today.
We enjoy getting your feedback from throughout ASEAN. Joining us as usual with this month's comments is Duradi Sidichanya of the ASEAN Secretariat.
Hello.
Good, Dee, good to see you as always. What have you got?
Dalton, our first comment comes from Kate. She tweeted this following a youth roundtable held during the Brunei summit. A follow-up on what the young leaders considered most challenging would be perfect. We will continue to monitor the priorities of ASEAN's young people, Kate. Tegu had this to say on Twitter: "We are like a big family. We must together continue building new worlds." Very well said, Tegu. And from our ASEAN Today Facebook page, Patrado simply said, "Love you, ASEAN Today. Let us know what you're thinking. Please email us at aseantoday.tv@gmail.com. Post something on our Facebook page or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV.
All right, thank you very much, Dee. Sarah?
Dalton and Dee, there are bullfights and cockfights. In Thailand, the excitement's over beetle fights. The annual Kwang or Beetle Festival is held every September in the northern town of Pua. The event begins with a colorful parade involving several hill tribes, but the main attraction is the Battle of Bugs. Popular throughout the rainy season, 2 beetles face off on a log simulated by the scent of a female beetle. Nearby, if a beetle retreats or refuses to fight, it loses. Bets are wagered in the competition ranging from 200 to 10,000 baht, that's $600 to $330. And that's ASEAN Today for this month. Terima kasih, I'm Sarah Rabiatul Kamit of the Brunei Times in Bandar Seri Begawan.
Wish I could have joined you there. I'm Dalton Tanonaka of Indonesia's Metro TV in Jakarta. Please join us again next month.